Welcome back to Special Report in Miami after President Trump delivered an economic speech here to the America Business Forum. Mr. President, thanks for being here. I want to talk to you about New York City real quick. You're a New Yorker. You famously kind of had a fight with Ed Koch back in the 70s and 80s as he was a mayor. He obviously wasn't a democratic socialist, as you call the mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani a communist. But is there any part of you that looks at Mamdani and says, it is good for you politically to have a big foil there that you're going to talk about for the next 3 years?
You know, I'm so torn because I would like to see the new mayor do well because I love New York. I really love New York. When I left New York for Washington, New York was doing really well, but there were some bad signs. The bad sign was a guy named de Blasio. So the signs of de Blasio, that was the beginning, and it was bad. This one, we're going to look. For 1,000 years, communism has not worked. Communism or the concept of communism has not worked.
Okay, so imagine this for a second. You're Donald Trump. You've spent years cultivating this relationship with Fox News. They've been your safety net, your propaganda machine, your guarantee-friendly audience whenever you need to get your message out. You call into their shows, they defend you religiously. They spin every scandal in your favor. They are, for all intents and purposes, your personal media empire without you having to own it. And then one day, in October 2025, you go on air expecting the usual softball treatment, and instead, they let the entire country watch you have a complete psychological breakdown. They don't cut away. They don't edit it later. They just let it roll, let you rant and rave and lose control while millions of people watch in real time. That's not just embarrassing. That's a betrayal. That's Fox News basically saying, we're done protecting you. And that's exactly what just happened. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest, you can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us. Be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let's get back to the video.
I tend to doubt it's going to work this time.
Did you see his victory speech?
It's literally never worked. Yeah, I thought it was a very angry speech. Certainly angry toward me, and I think he should be very nice to me. You know, I'm the one that sort of has to approve a lot of things coming to him, so he's off to a bad start.
At one point he says, turn the volume up.
So hear me, President Trump, when I say this. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us.
How do you respond to that? Does that affect anything you're going to do?
It's a very dangerous statement for him to make, actually. And, you know, you talk about danger. I think it's a very dangerous statement for him to make. He has to be a little bit respectful of Washington.
On October 20th, 2025, Fox News aired what might be Donald Trump's most damaging television appearance since leaving office in his first term, and honestly, maybe ever. This wasn't a gotcha interview on CNN or MSNBC where you'd expect hostile questioning. This was Fox, his home turf, his safe space, and he absolutely imploded. We're talking about a live segment where Trump, visibly agitated and increasingly out of control, went off about protests, legal crises, GOP infighting, being called a king, and basically everything that's gone wrong for him lately. He grimaced, he raised his voice, he pointed fingers, he blamed everyone except himself, and the Fox hosts, they just let it happen. They tried briefly to redirect him or calm him down, but when that didn't work, they basically stepped back and let America watch the meltdown unfold. Now, here's what makes this so significant. Fox News has always been willing to run interference for Trump. When he said something crazy, they'd explain what he really meant. When scandals erupted, they'd downplay or ignore them. When his behavior looked unhinged, they'd cut to commercial or pivot to attacking Democrats. That's been the playbook for years, but not this time. This time, they let the footage roll. They broadcast his rage and desperation in full. They showed viewers exactly what Trump looks like when he's losing control and doesn't have anyone willing to save him from himself. And according to reports from MediaStutch and other outlets, Fox producers were internally freaking out while it happened. They were watching this disaster unfold live, realizing they couldn't spin it, couldn't fix it, couldn't make it look better than it was. The segment was supposed to be about Trump's agenda, his response to current events, the usual talking points, but Trump derailed it almost immediately. He started ranting about being unfairly characterized as wanting to be a king. He denied responsibility for the fracturing Republican Party. He attacked GOP rebels who've been pushing back against his leadership. He went after the fake media, which is ironic considering he was literally on Fox News at the time. And through it all, you could see it on his face. The stress, the anger, the desperation of someone who knows things are falling apart and can't figure out how to stop it. This wasn't strategic Trump. This wasn't calculated Trump trying to dominate a news cycle. This was unfiltered Trump having a genuine breakdown on live television. And Fox let it happen. That's the story. For the first time in recent memory, Trump's most reliable media ally declined to protect him from himself. They didn't cut away. They didn't edit the footage for later broadcasts to make him look better. They aired the whole thing, warts and all, psychological collapse included. And that shift, that willingness to let Trump's image take damage on their own network, signals something huge. It signals that Fox News, or at least parts of Fox News, are done carrying water for Trump unconditionally. It signals that they see which way the wind is blowing politically, and they're starting to hedge their bets. It signals that Trump's grip on conservative media, which has been ironclad for years, is finally starting to slip. Behind the scenes, according to sources, Fox producers and executives were in panic mode during and after the segment. They knew what they were watching. They knew this footage was damaging. They knew it would be clipped and shared across social media and analyzed by political commentators for days. And they had to make a choice in real time. Do we cut away and protect Trump like we always do? Or do we let this play out and show our audience what's really happening? They chose the latter. And that choice is reverberating through political media right now because it represents a fundamental shift in the relationship between Trump and the network that made him. So buckle up, because we're about to break down exactly what happened during Trump's on-air meltdown, why Fox decided to let it happen, what this means for Trump's political future, and how this moment fits into the broader story of his second term falling apart in spectacular fashion. We're going to look at the footage, the reactions, the behind-the-scenes panic, and the bigger picture of what it means when your most loyal media ally stops protecting you. This is going to be intense. All right, let's get into the specifics of what actually went down during this Fox News disaster, because the details matter here. The segment started normally enough. Trump was calling in, which he does constantly, to discuss whatever was on his mind that day. The hosts were ready with their usual gentle questions. Everything seemed like business as usual. But within minutes, Trump was off the rails. He started talking about how people were unfairly calling him a king, implying he wanted authoritarian power. And instead of just dismissing the criticism and moving on, he fixated on it. He got defensive. He started listing all the ways he wasn't acting like a king, which of course just made him sound more defensive and guilty. It was textbook Trump self-sabotage. The more he denied something, the more attention he drew to it. Then he pivoted to the Republican Party and the infighting that's been plaguing his second term. GOP senators have been revolting against some of his policies. High-profile Republicans have been criticizing him publicly. There's been open warfare between MAGA loyalists and more traditional conservatives about the direction of the party. And Trump, instead of projecting unity or confidence, started blaming everyone else. He called out specific Republicans by name. He said they were disloyal. He claimed they were undermining him because they were jealous or weak or whatever rationalization made sense to him in the moment. But here's the thing. When you're the president and you're publicly attacking members of your own party on national television, you don't look strong. You look desperate. You look like you're losing control of your coalition. The Fox hosts tried to redirect him. You could hear it in their voices. They'd ask a question designed to get Trump back on message, to give him an opportunity to say something positive or forward-looking, and Trump would just ignore them and keep ranting. At one point, one of the hosts literally tried to interrupt Trump mid-sentence to change topics, and Trump just talked over them and kept going. The dynamic was stunning because it showed that Trump either didn't realize or didn't care that he was making himself look bad. He was so caught up in his own grievances, so focused on defending himself and attacking his enemies, that he couldn't see how the segment was playing to viewers. And then there was his physical demeanor. Trump has always been someone who uses body language aggressively. He gestures. He leans forward. He tries to dominate physical space even through a camera. But during this segment, his body language wasn't dominant. It was agitated, stressed. You could see the grimaces on his face. You could see the tension in his shoulders. You could hear the edge in his voice getting sharper as he got more worked up. This wasn't the confident, larger-than-life Trump persona he usually projects. This was someone who looked like they were barely holding it together, and Fox aired all of it without trying to minimize it or contextualize it in a way that would help Trump. Now let's talk about what was happening behind the scenes at Fox during all of this. According to reports from MediaStutch and other media outlets, Fox producers were in full panic mode. They were watching Trump spiral in real time and trying to figure out what to do about it. Do they cut the segment short? Do they go to commercial? Do they let it play out and deal with the fallout later? There were apparently heated conversations happening in the control room while Trump was still on air. Some people wanted to protect Trump and end the segment. Others argued that cutting away would just make things worse, that it would look like Fox was censoring Trump and create even more controversy. So they made the decision to let it continue, to let Trump keep talking, to let the meltdown run its course. And that decision is significant because it represents a shift in how Fox News is handling Trump. For years, the network operated as a protection racket for him. Anything that made Trump look bad got downplayed or ignored. Anything that could be spun in his favor got amplified. The entire operation was designed to maintain Trump's image as strong, successful, and in control. But that's changing. You can see it in how anchors like Bret Baier have been more willing to push back on Trump's claims. You can see it in how Fox has been covering some of Trump's scandals more aggressively. You can see it in segments like this one, where they chose not to protect him from the consequences of his own behavior. The timing of all this is crucial too. This meltdown didn't happen in a vacuum. Trump is dealing with multiple crises simultaneously. There's the government shutdown and the fallout from withholding SNAP benefits. There are ongoing legal battles. There are GOP senators publicly breaking with him. There are polls showing his approval ratings at record lows. There are high-profile Republicans starting to distance themselves from MAGA extremism. Trump is under more pressure in his second term than at almost any point in his first term, and it's showing. He's not handling it well. He's lashing out more. He's more defensive. He's less able to control his impulses, and all of that was on full display during this Fox News segment. What makes the Fox situation even more damaging is the symbolism of it. Fox News has been Trump's media lifeline for his entire political career. It's where he goes to reach his base. It's where he gets friendly coverage. It's where his message gets amplified without serious challenge. Losing that unconditional support, or even just seeing it weaken, is a massive blow to Trump's political infrastructure. Because if Fox won't protect him anymore, who will? Right-wing media is fractured. There are competing outlets and personalities. But Fox is still the biggest, most influential conservative network, and if Fox is willing to let Trump embarrass himself on air, that sends a signal to other conservative media figures that maybe they don't have to keep carrying water for him either. There's also the question of what this means for Trump's base. The people who watch Fox News religiously are Trump's core supporters. They're the ones who stuck with him through every scandal, every controversy, every legal battle. But what happens when they see him having a meltdown on their favorite network and the network doesn't rush to his defense? What happens when Fox anchors look uncomfortable or skeptical while Trump is ranting? Some of those viewers might start questioning things. Not all of them, probably not even most of them, but some. And in a polarized political environment where margins matter, losing even a small percentage of your base is significant. The reaction to the segment has been predictable along partisan lines. Democrats and Trump critics have been sharing clips of the meltdown everywhere. They're using it as evidence that Trump is unfit, unstable, falling apart under pressure. They're pointing to Fox's handling of it as proof that even conservative media is starting to turn on him. Meanwhile, Trump's hardcore supporters are either denying the meltdown happened, claiming it's being taken out of context, or attacking Fox for betraying Trump. There's been talk of boycotting Fox, accusations that the network has been taken over by establishment Republicans. But the fact remains, the footage exists, people can watch it for themselves, and no amount of spin can change how Trump looked and sounded during that segment. Fox's decision to air the meltdown without protecting Trump also raises questions about the network's future strategy. Are they trying to maintain credibility by showing they won't cover for Trump no matter what? Are they reading polling data that suggests Trump is becoming a liability? Are there internal power struggles at Fox between Trump loyalists and people who want to move the network in a different direction? All of that is possible. What's clear is that something has shifted. The relationship between Trump and Fox isn't what it was, and that shift was on full display during this October segment. Okay, let's break this down into the core points, because there's a lot to unpack here. Point 1, Trump had a genuine on-air meltdown, and Fox News chose not to protect him from it. This wasn't edited footage. This wasn't a clip taken out of context. This was a live segment where Trump visibly lost control of his emotions, ranted about his grievances, attacked members of his own party, and looked stressed and desperate. And Fox, which has spent years running interference for Trump and spinning every story in his favor, decided to let it air in full. They didn't cut away. They didn't go to commercial. They let America watch Trump fall apart. That's unprecedented in the relationship between Trump and Fox News, and it signals a major shift in how the network is handling him. Point 2, the behind-the-scenes panic at Fox reveals that even Trump's media allies know this is bad. According to reports, Fox producers and executives were freaking out during and after the segment. They knew what they were watching. They knew it was damaging, but they made the choice to air it anyway. That tells you two things. First, they're less willing to protect Trump unconditionally than they used to be. And second, they might be preparing for a future where Trump isn't the dominant force in Republican politics. That's a huge deal because Fox has been instrumental in building and maintaining Trump's political brand. Point 3, the timing of this meltdown makes it exponentially worse for Trump. He's not having this breakdown at a time when things are going well. He's having it in the middle of multiple crises: government shutdown, SNAP benefit scandal, legal battles, GOP infighting, record low approval ratings. Trump is under siege on multiple fronts, and instead of projecting strength and stability, He's having public meltdowns on national television that reinforces the narrative that he's losing control, that he can't handle the pressure, that his second term is falling apart. And point 4, this represents a potential turning point in conservative media's relationship with Trump. Fox News isn't the only right-wing outlet, but it's the biggest and most influential. And if Fox is willing to let Trump embarrass himself on air, that sets a precedent. It tells other conservative media figures that they don't have to keep defending Trump's every action. We're already seeing signs of this. Some Fox hosts are more willing to push back on Trump's claims. The tone is shifting, and Trump's on-air meltdown might be the moment people look back on as when Fox started to turn. So why does this matter beyond just political drama? First reason, it affects Trump's ability to control his image and shape public perception. Trump has always understood that media coverage matters. Fox News has been the crown jewel of that strategy. It's where he can reach millions of conservative voters without filter or serious challenge. But if Fox is no longer reliably protecting him, if they're willing to broadcast his meltdowns and let him look bad, then Trump loses a crucial tool for managing his public image. He can't count on Fox to spin things in his favor anymore, and that makes everything harder for him politically. Second reason, it accelerates the fracturing of the Republican Party and the MAGA movement. Trump's political power has always depended on maintaining unity among his supporters. As long as the base stays loyal, as long as Republican politicians fear primary challenges, as long as conservative media backs him up, Trump remains formidable. But cracks are appearing. GOP senators are breaking with him. Some Republicans are openly criticizing him. Conservative media is less uniformly supportive, and Trump's public meltdowns make those cracks wider. They give cover to Republicans who want to distance themselves from Trump. They give conservative media figures permission to be more critical. Third reason, it exposes the psychological toll that Trump's current situation is taking on him. Trump has always been someone who thrives on attention and conflict, but there's a difference between strategic conflict, where you're in control, and desperate lashing out when things are falling apart. What we saw during that Fox News segment looked a lot more like the latter. Trump looked stressed, he looked agitated, he looked like someone who's feeling the walls close in. That's concerning from a governance standpoint, because a president who's psychologically unraveling is not making good decisions. Fourth reason, it changes the narrative around Trump's second term. When Trump was reelected, there were questions about what his second term would look like. Would he be more disciplined? Would he be more effective? The answer, increasingly, seems to be no. His second term looks a lot like his first term, just with higher stakes. In moments like this, Fox News meltdown become data points in that story. They become evidence that Trump hasn't changed, that he's still the same volatile, thin-skinned, self-destructive figure he's always been. Now, what comes next? Will Trump try to repair his relationship with Fox? Will he attack the network the way he's attacked other media outlets? Will Fox continue to be more critical, or will they backslide into their old patterns? All of that is up in the air right now. What we know is that the relationship between Trump and Fox has changed. The dynamic is different, and Trump's on-air meltdown was both a symptom of that change and a catalyst for more of it. Trump's likely response will be to attack Fox and claim they've been taken over by rhinos or establishment figures. He'll probably threaten to stop doing interviews with them. He'll probably tell his supporters to boycott the network. He'll probably try to paint himself as a victim of media betrayal. But here's the problem with that strategy. It might work with his hardcore base, but it won't work with the broader audience Trump needs to maintain political power: independent voters, moderate Republicans, people who watch Fox but aren't MAGA cultists. Those people saw the meltdown. They saw Trump lose control, and Trump attacking Fox afterward just makes him look more defensive and unstable. The political implications are significant. Democrats are using the footage in opposition messaging. They're pointing to it as evidence that Trump is unfit for office. They're fundraising off it. They're making it part of their narrative about why Trump's second term has been a disaster. And that's effective because they have video evidence. They can just show voters the footage and let them see for themselves what Trump looks like when he's under pressure. Republicans who aren't fully on board with Trump are in a tough spot. They don't want to openly attack him and risk backlash from the base, but they also don't want to defend behavior that looks obviously problematic. So many of them are staying quiet, and that silence is telling too. Here's my take. What we're watching is the beginning of the end of Trump's dominance over conservative media and Republican politics. Not the end itself, not yet, but the beginning. Fox News letting Trump melt down on air without protecting him is a crack in the dam. It's a sign that the unconditional support Trump has relied on for years is eroding. And once that process starts, it's hard to stop, because every crack makes the next one easier. Every moment where Trump looks weak makes it easier for allies to distance themselves. Every poll showing declining support makes it easier for politicians to break ranks. Trump's power has always been as much about perception as reality. He's been able to project strength and invincibility even when things were falling apart behind the scenes. But that projection only works if people buy into it. if the media reinforces it, if allies back it up. And when Fox News airs footage of Trump having a breakdown, when they let viewers see the stress and desperation, that projection shatters. Once people see it, they can't unsee it. So where does this leave us? We've got a president who had a public meltdown on his favorite network. We've got Fox News choosing not to protect him. We've got behind-the-scenes panic at the network. We've got Trump's opponents using the footage as ammunition. We've got Trump's allies staying silent because they don't know how to defend him. We've got polls showing record low approval. We've got a fractured Republican Party. We've got a second term that looks increasingly chaotic. And we've got more crises coming that Trump will have to navigate without the guaranteed media support he's relied on for years. This isn't just about one bad interview. This is about a fundamental shift in Trump's political position. Fox turning on him, even partially, is a sign that his grip is loosening, that his ability to dominate Republican politics is weakening, and Trump's on-air meltdown, broadcast to millions without Fox rushing to his defense, might be the moment that shift became impossible to ignore. Stay tuned, because this is only going to get more interesting. When Fox News stops being Trump's safety net, when his own media allies won't save him from himself, when voters see unfiltered footage of him losing control, everything changes, and we're watching that change happen in real time.